Alright, in lesson 1.6, we're talking about comparing and ordering decimals using models and place values. So our objective is by the end, you should be able to look at a decimal, determining which one is greater than another. On page 12 of our workbook, we're looking at using the model to compare the decimal. Not saying that we need to draw a model every time or get out our tenths and hundredths blocks, but as a visual illustration to see how we compare. There's one method to use. So we have 5 tenths, so I've got 1 tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths, and 5 tenths shaded, compared to 54 hundredths. And each one of these columns right here is 10. So I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or 5 tenths. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tenths additional. So when I compare the two, since there's a greater area shaded for 54 hundredths than 5 tenths, 54 hundredths is greater than 5 tenths. We could use a number line, this is our second method, to compare, and so we have 5 tenths or 50 hundredths compared to 54 hundredths. Since 5 tenths is to the left of 54 hundredths, 5 tenths is less than 54 hundredths. Third example would be our most common, and this is where we line up our place values. And here we're going to use our inequality signs. So I've got my less than, my equal to, or my greater than sign to complete our statement comparing 28 hundredths and 82 hundredths. So we've lined them up, and our ones digits are all the same. We have a 0. Our decimal points are lined up, and now we're looking at our tenths. So 2 and 8. The tenth digits are different. 2 is less than 8. So since 2 tenths in 28 hundredths is less than 8 tenths in 82 hundredths, 28 hundredths is less than 82 hundredths. In our third example, we're comparing multiple numbers. So I've got 4 numbers. I've got 8 tenths, 84 thousandths, 48 hundredths, and 84 hundredths. So again, we're going to line up our numbers based on their place value, and I'm plugging in zeros as placeholders because 8 tenths only ends at the 8 in our tenths place. So I'm going to add in this 0 in our hundredths and a 0 here in our thousandths. This way we are comparing everything out to 1,000, or to the thousandths place. So since 0 in our whole number is all the same, we look to our next, and I've got 8, 0, 4, and 8. So since our 0 is the least tenth digit, that must mean that 84 thousandths is the least decimal. I want to scratch that off our list, so I'm done with that. Now I'm comparing, I've got 8 tenths, 4 tenths, and 8 tenths. 4 is our next least decimal, tenth digit, so 84 hundredths is the second least decimal. Now I'm finally done to our last two. I've got 8 tenths and 84 hundredths. So 8 is our greatest tenth digit, so I have to look at our hundredths place, and 0 and 4 I'm comparing those two, and since 0 hundredths is less than 4 hundredths, 8 tenths is our third least decimal, which makes 84 hundredths is the greatest. So if we were to write these out from least to greatest, I have 0 and 84 thousandths, followed by 0 and 48 hundredths, followed by 0 and 8 tenths, and our greatest one was 0 and 84 hundredths. And here's where you are going to try on your own, so go ahead and pause, and then go ahead and resume after you have it done, and we'll check our work. Alright, at this point, we are going to check to see how you did. So we are comparing 59 hundredths and 6 tenths. So I have 59 hundredths, so I'm going to shade in 59 of our little blocks. Remember, each one of these columns is 10. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hundredths that I filled in, compared to our 6 tenths. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenths. So 6 tenths is shaded just 1/100th more. So which number is greater? Well, 0 and 6 tenths. For number 2, we're using our inequality signs to complete the statement, and this is where it becomes easier to line up our place values and compare. So I've got 0 and 56 hundredths, and I've got 0 and 543 thousandths. Well, since I don't have a thousandths place in my 56 hundredths, I'm going to put a placeholder 0, and now I can compare. So I look at my whole number, and I don't have any, so they're both 0, so I need to look to the next digit to our 10th place. Well, they're both 5, so I can't compare yet, so I need to look to my hundredths. And I have 4 and 6. Well, 4 is less than 6, so that must mean that 0 and 543 thousandths is less than 0 and 56, or 543 thousandths is less than 56 hundredths. And for number 3, we're comparing 3 different numbers, so I'm going to write them out just like we did for number 2. I've got 3 and 59 thousandths, make my 3 a 3, and then I've got 3 and 64 hundredths, and I've got 3 and 46 hundredths. Putting my placeholder zeros in, all my 3's and my whole numbers are the same, so I look to my next, my 10th place, 0, 6, and 4. Well, 0 is my least, so that must be my least number. So I've got 3 and 59 thousandths. That is my least. My next least would be 3 and 46 hundredths, because 4 is less than 6, and 3 and 64 hundredths would be my greatest. That's the end for lesson 1.6. Let me know if you have any questions.